We now move on to electric current, the foundation of circuit analysis. So practical applications in electricity related topics were based on static electricity. So a steady source of electric current allowed scientists to learn how to control the flow of electric charges in circuits. So electric current is the rate at which a charge flows through a surface. Okay, or if we have a wire, then through a cross section of the wire. So mathematically, it is the ratio of the charge flowing through a surface, okay, to the time. So the SI unit for electric current is ampere, with capital letter A for its symbol. So it's 1 coulomb per second. So 1 coulomb of charge flows through a conductor, okay, in 1 second. So looking at the microscopic level, electric current is carried by what we call charge carriers, which drift slowly through a conductor. So let's say this is a wire with a known cross section. So although the charges themselves move slowly, okay, with the speed called drift speed, so the electric signal propagates almost at the speed of light. So the relationship between current and drift speed is shown in this mathematical equation. So the total charge is the number of carriers times the charge per carrier. So the number of carriers is the number of charge carrier per unit volume multiplied by the cross-sectional area of the conductor and the displacement of the charges. So when the conductor is isolated, electrons just bounce around randomly. Okay, but with the conductor, so the movement would be more organized and will be flowing in one direction. And this is now our electric current. So flow of charges in different components like resistors, capacitors, even appliances, and using power sources like battery or any type of power source. So we can summarize them using a circuit diagram. So a circuit is a closed path of some sort around which current circulates. So this diagram is used to represent the circuit. So for example, we have the battery as the source and four resistors are on the circuit. So these two resistors connected in series while the other two resistors are connected parallel to the first two. There are two most common meters we use in a circuit. So one of them is the ammeter. So for example, if this is our circuit and this is the circuit diagram, so the ammeter is used to measure the current. So supposing, okay, we have a battery as the power source, and then we have the light bulb, so battery and the light bulb. So all the charge passing through the light bulb should also pass through the ammeter. So it's important to attach it in series with the component, okay? Na imuhang basahan sa electric current because you're getting the amount of charge that is passing through the conductor, okay, per unit of time. So you must position it there. Okay, if you want to read, let's say there's an additional component here, a resistor, for example, here, another light bulb. So yes, it's connected in series, so you can actually put it same position as this position here, or before entering the battery. Okay, you can position the ammeter before the battery and after that second component. Meter is the voltmeter. So it measures the potential difference or the voltage, okay, of the component in a circuit. So the voltmeter should be attached parallel to the component, okay, may basahan sa voltage. Okay, so the circuit must be running, okay, so that you can get a reading in the voltmeter. So if there's no charge flowing in the circuit, then you won't get a reading in your voltmeter. Okay, so there's a potential difference from the battery, but if no conductor is attached, okay, or connected to the battery, or if closed ang circuit, okay, so no charges are flowing yet. So you cannot record, okay, the amount of voltage na gigamit for that purpose. So you need to connect it to two contacts of the bulb if you're using a bulb, or in resistors, two terminals of the resistor. Now, charges don't flow without opposition. So as electrons move through a conductor, they collide with atoms, and these collisions slow them down. So this opposition is called resistance. So in a conductor, the voltage applied across the ends of the conductor is proportional to the current to the conductor. So the constant of proportionality is called the resistance. So mathematically, there's the ratio of potential difference to electric current. So unit of resistance is ohms, which is equivalent to volt per ampere. So for many materials, particularly metals, resistance stays constant over a wide range of voltages and currents. So this is known as the Ohm's law. So mathematically, this is the equation, or if we're going to stick with the R, okay, being the quantity that is constant over a wide range of voltages and currents. So R is the ratio of the voltage or the potential difference to the electric current. And this relationship, okay, is only valid for what we call ohmic materials. If we're going to graph I, electric current, versus the potential difference, so expect a line with a positive slope. So the slope here represents the reciprocal of the resistance. So again, this is valid only for ohmic devices. So the resistance is constant over a wide range of voltages. So for nonlinear relationship, okay, so these are non-ohmic materials. So the resistance changes with voltage or current. So a diode is a common example of a non-ohmic device. So here are some examples of diodes. So let's think about what happens to energy as charge flows around a circuit. So imagine a quantity of positive charge. Okay, although in electrochemistry, the charges are deemed to be negative, okay, because of the nature of the electrons. But in physics, the convention is the charges are positive. So a quantity of positive charge, okay, with magnitude delta Q moves around the circuit from point A back to point A. So from here, then back to point A. So point A is taken as the reference point. So it is grounded and potential is taken to be zero. So as the charge moves through the battery from A to B, so the potential energy increases by this amount, the product of the quantity of charges and the potential difference. So the chemical energy of the battery decreases by the same amount. So as the charges flow here, so it loses, okay, the energy to heat through the collisions with the atoms. That's why mainit wires possibly, because of the loss of energy brought about by the collisions of the atoms, okay, in the resistor. So the chemical energy of the battery, some of it has been delivered to the resistor and caused its temperature to rise. So from chemical energy to heat, okay, thermal energy. So the rate at which the energy is lost in the movement of the charges on the circuit is called power. So mathematically, it's Q over T times the potential difference, or if we're going to simplify it, okay, the ratio of the total charge to time is electric current and multiply it with the potential difference. So the SI unit of power is watts with a capital letter W for its symbol. So automatic na siya watts if the electric current is in amperes or resistance is in ohms and potential difference is in volts. So for the energy used in electric companies, so kilowatt hour is commonly used. So it is defined in terms of the unit of power and the amount of time it is supplied. So power times time. So for example, an appliance has a power rating of 1000 watts and it is used for 3600 seconds. So the energy consumption is 1 kilowatt hour. Okay, so 1 hour is 3600 seconds, or in SI unit, that's 3.6 times 10 to the power of 6 joules. Amount of charge that passes through the filament of a certain light bulb is in 2 seconds is 1.67 columns. So find the average current in the light bulb. So we're given the time, which is 2 seconds, and Q, which is 1.67 columns. So the average current would be Q over T. So that's 1.67 columns per 2 seconds, or that would be equal to 0.835 column per second or amperes. For power, an electric heater is operated by applying a potential difference of 50 volts to a nichrome wire, total resistance 8 ohms. Find the current carried by the wire and the power rating of the heater. So we're given the potential difference or the voltage, 50 volts, and the resistance is 8 ohms. So we're going to solve for the value of I and also for the power rating. So for the electric current from the Ohm's law equation, I is equal to potential difference over the resistance. So it's 50 volts over 8 ohms, or that's 25 over 4, or 6.25 in decimal form. So volt per ohm is amperes. And for the power rating, so we can multiply the values of I and the potential difference V, or to be safe, what if our value for I is wrong? So let's stick with the given values V and R. So we have the formula for power in terms of V and R. So V squared over R. So we're going to plug in the values. So we have 50 volts squared over 8 ohms. So 312.5, and as a unit for power is watts. And we can double check if we're going to use the computed I value, 25 over 4, and multiply it with 50. So let's see if we get the same value. So 25 divided by 4 times 50. So it's also 312.5. So if you're sure of your answer for the value of I, then of course you can use the P is equal to, so let's just show it here. P is equal to I times V. So I in amperes and voltage in volts would result to, that's a unit, watts also. So 312.5 watts. So another example on power. So a circuit provides a maximum current of 20 amperes at an operating voltage of 1.20 times 10 to the power of 2 volts, or that's 120 volts. So how many 75 watt bulbs can operate with this voltage source? For letter A. So we are given the electric current value, which is 20, and the voltage, which is 120. So each bulb has a power rating of 75 watts. So for letter A, we're going to solve for the number of bulbs that can operate with the voltage source. Let that value be N. So N would be computed by dividing the total power that the voltage source can give by the power rating of each light bulb. Okay, so for the total power, so we use the P equals I times V formula, since these are given already, and then divide it by 75 watts. So that's 20 amperes times 120 volts. So the unit is watts for the numerator, and then 75 watts for each bulb. So that would give 32 light bulbs. And for letter B, if the price of a kilowatt hour is 15 pesos, so per kilowatt hour. So how much does it cost to operate these bulbs for 8 hours? Okay, time is 8 hours. So we're going to multiply the total power in kilowatts by time. So just directly use the formula. Okay, So I am labeling the total cost using letter C. So we're going to multiply the total power and the time and the 15 pesos per kilowatt hour. Time and then the cost per kilowatt hour. Let's say this is C or each. For each kilowatt hour, so it's 15 pesos. So for the total power, that's 20 times 120. Or you can solve for it separately. So that's 200 or 2,400 watts, okay, times 8 hours. And then the cost is 15 pesos, okay, per kilowatt hour. So this is still in watts, by the way, for ampere volt. So let's put the conversion here. Complete. So 1 watt is 1 ampere volt, and for kilowatts, so that's 1,000 watts in 1 kilowatt. So that we can check for the dimensions if it's already correct. So canceling out ampere volt and then the hours here and then the kilowatts and the watts. So we're left with the amount in pesos. So it's 288 pesos.